Cutie and Cosplay here with another video. Welcome back to Cutieween. This year I already owned these lamb ears, so I decided to go simple, go cute, because I've got a couple other, my budget's going towards some other cosplays that I've already shown that I'm still working on, so went simpler, cute with the Halloween costume. And now I am basically cosplaying Bibbly Bobbly Sheep. For this year's Halloween, I thought that it would be fun to talk about some scary characters. These are characters not only from video games, but from a couple different things. Movies, games, books, whatever. Just characters that have scared me in the past, or even maybe still kind of do put some fear into me currently. So without any further delay, let's get started. First scary character is from Sinistar. So I played Sinistar on the Midway Arcade Collection, and honestly, a space shooter is really something that I never thought would give me nightmares, but my goodness. The Sinistar ship is just terrifying. Hearing that scream as a little gamer, it made my heart race. And I only ended up playing it a handful of times, but that was enough to get that devil ship stuck in my head. I would even see his face in the dark, and I'd have dreams where it chased me. It's funny too, I didn't even enjoy the game that much, so I'd say that it really wasn't worth it for little me to play that game, because I just got terror and nightmares in return.
Beware, coward. Run. Beware, I live.
Next up is from the show Courage the Cowardly Dog. This would be the perfect episode, which I think stands out in a lot of people's heads. And just in general, this show just had plenty of nightmare fuel. I have had quite a few bad dreams thanks to this show, but there was just one episode in particular that I just could not get a good night's sleep after watching it for a few nights, and that would be the imperfect creature in the perfect episode. And it really didn't help that when I saw this episode it was during the night, so every time I closed my eyes I'd see this creature, and I was just like Courage, waking up in fear every few minutes, scared that this thing was going to get me. Even though I got scared easily, I did like this show a lot when I was younger, but I will say that this show no longer frightens me, but it still has its creepy moments, and it's really funny and even at times very sweet. Great show. Next up is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So I was lent one of these books by a cousin, and boy did I regret ever accepting it. Some of the pictures in these books they would end up haunting me for years. Even as I got older, in my mid-teens, when I'd be alone in bed in the dark, I would still get these small doses of fear when my brain would remember those images. I suffered too many restless nights thanks to that book. And just like Sinistar, I wish I had never seen it, because I just didn't really enjoy those books in general, so once again, not worth it for me. Next up is from Sonic CD, and that would be the infamous scary picture. So I have game facts to thank for this one. I loved playing the Sonic Gems collection, and something that I like to do for basically every retro game that I played was to look up cheat codes, and of course my favorite site to look up cheat codes on was GameFAQs. I was definitely intrigued when I saw that there were secret pictures in Sonic CD, and a few of them were cute, but two of them scared the crap out of me. The first was actually the Batman looking Sonic that plays with like the creepy boss music. And the second one is pretty famous on the internet. It's that creepy looking Sonic with a mustache, and it also played the boss music. I hated that picture so much, and it ruined Sonic's CD for me for a little while, just because every time afterwards that I'd play the game, when I'd reach Eggman and the boss music would play, it would just remind me of those pictures and I'd get scared all over again. But looking back, it wasn't so bad, and actually even kind of neat that a game about a cute hedgehog could make me feel so much fear. Next up is the Babadook. Just what an absolutely creepy character. I honestly can't even remember much of this movie or how this monster worked, but I think it says a lot about how just saying the name of this character puts a little fear into me, even now. I watched this movie with friends at their house, and then I went home and I spent the night alone because my family had gone away for the night. It was one of those very rare times that I was home alone, and I was just absolutely terrified, checking the ceilings and just hearing that scary voice in my head. Honestly, I don't think I'll ever watch that movie again. Just once was enough nightmare fuel for me. Even now, creepy. Next up is Pac-Man 2, the Ghost Witch. Just like Sonic, I cannot believe a game about a yellow ball would terrify me so much, but it did. It's a fun game where you're helping Pac-Man complete tasks in his daily life and protect him from enemies. But anyway, once you complete a chapter in the game, a cutscene plays with the Ghost Witch, and she's upset with her minions because they failed, and she just turns all dark and scary and disintegrates the ghost, and of course, scary music plays while she does this. It seems a little silly now, but I was just so scared of this scene when I was small, and I dreaded every time I beat a chapter because I just knew that I'd have to watch it again. Next up is a classic. It's It, or Pennywise the Clown. I watched the original movie when I was younger, and it was horrifying. Seeing Pennywise popping out of shower drains and messing with characters via the sink drain, it just filled me with complete fear. There was genuinely a time where I was afraid to shower, and I would just keep checking sink drains in horror, expecting something to pop out. Honestly, Stephen King really did create an incredibly scary character, this shape-shifting clown alien monster, and Tim Curry was such a great Pennywise the Clown, definitely scared me. Also, I am actually a big fan of the more recent two It movies. I think they did an awesome job with that, and there were some good scares in there, but anyway, all this to say Pennywise is just the stuff of nightmares, and I would never want to run into them in real life. No, thank you. Next up is Baraka from Mortal Kombat. Now, I do know that I shouldn't have been playing Mortal Kombat as a kid, but I couldn't help it. For whatever reason, I was just drawn to that dark and creepy fighting game. There was one character that I dreaded fighting, and that was Baraka. Oh my goodness, this character, he just looks so scary in Mortal Kombat 2. Even now, looking at his original design versus what he looks like currently, it's just night and day how terrifying he used to look. I was just so scared of having a dream where he does a fatality on me. I thankfully never did, but oh my gosh, I just really hate him. Next up are the King Kong worms. When I was little, my family took me to see the 2005 King Kong movie, and at one point there's these enormous worms that attack people and eat them. I really don't think as much of it now, like even seeing Dune with that, or I haven't seen Dune, but obviously it's famous for that giant worm. That doesn't scare me that much. So just giant worms in general don't terrify me as much now, but for some reason when I was a kid, that was the most horrifying part of that movie for me. Never mind the enormous gorilla, it was those worms that scared me so much. I seriously had trouble sleeping for a while. I was so afraid that these worms would come up and eat me. I remember there were actually some nights that my poor dad would have to sit with me until I fell asleep just because I was so worried about them. Next is Jennifer from Splatterhouse. I have talked about this series before, but there were two moments in this franchise that really spooked me. One was the cutscenes of Splatterhouse 3. I really hated the intro with the spirit faces coming out of the gem, and the other moment was the boss fight with Rick's girlfriend Jennifer. Just seeing a loved one turn into a terrifying monster that's trying to kill you, it's just something that I did not want to think about. In the past, whenever I got scared, I felt safe around family and friends, but now after seeing that, my little brain would just think of scary scenarios where I'd be alone with someone I knew and they could just transform like that. Silly, I know, but I was just a scaredy cat back then. Next up is the Technologic Daft Punk robot. So I had a friend that liked this band and they wanted to show me this video because it was creepy, and yep, it is certainly creepy alright. Even now as an adult, I still think it's creepy. Bad friend for showing me that. This robot thing just haunted me for months. I'd see this thing in my living room at night, or I'd get paranoid that it was lurking outside. It was definitely not something that was fun for me when I was younger. And lastly is Skull and Crossbones. This is actually a fun NES game that I found at a flea market, and I think that the low quality music just makes the game more frightening than it actually is. But anyway, the wizard freaked me out with his game over cutscene and the music that plays for the witch boss. Jesus, it's really scary for an NES game. I will say though that I am really happy I found this game. It was one that I really enjoyed, and I still do now actually. So I would say it was worth the terror, the frightening moments. Anyway, those are some creepy characters that have scared me in the past or still even do creep me out a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you guys have experiences with these characters, or obviously name your own that terrified you as a child, maybe still creep you out now. There is just a whole world to pick from when it comes to scary things. Scary, unsettling, all kinds. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a great Halloween and that you enjoyed this video, and that I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Meh.